So here I am with Chris Hebard on the line. Chris is the founder of Stillness Speaks, so I thought it'd be fun to talk with Chris. So, Chris, tell us about your journey. What's going on?
Okay, I'm just going to say here for the record that I've known Jordan for as long as I've been in to, even before Advaita Vedanta, before, let's call it this uncharacterizable awakening experiences. And
Okay.
that's to know you very, very early on, because I had had an experience that was it's actually profoundly disturbing, because there was nothing in my experience quite like it. Disorienting. Um, and frankly, I didn't know whether or not maybe I was going insane, or whether or not something else had happened. And it wasn't until I stumbled into, I had no interest in Advaita Vedanta, non-duality, any of this stuff. And I stumbled onto a copy of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And reading that book, there was a description of an experience that he had in London while he was at school, which was almost identical to an experience that I'd had. It was the first time that I'd heard any confirmation at all that maybe there was someone else in the world who knew something about what I had gone through. And that started my stumbling around, and one thing led to another. Through Eckhart Tolle's site, I found an Eckhart Tolle group, and that group was in Plano, Texas, and Jordan led it. I knew nothing at all about any of this. And in a very real sense, Jordan, you put me under your wing. I used to come out to your meetings. You were very militant about people talking about their stories, or even talking in general. You hosted a lot of teachers who I've since come to know quite well. You shared with me things that you had read that you found meaningful. You were the person who gave me the original PDF version of Eternity Now by Francis Lucille, someone I'd never heard of before, and someone who so shook me that I flew to California to meet him. So let's just start this by setting the record straight and just saying that when I was lost, when I was really, really lost, you were a very, very valuable friend to me, and you still are a very, very valuable friend to me. So there's not much that I could do to ever repay that favor, because, you know, how do you repay the favor of people who help you find the keys to your own jail cell? So that's it.
Okay.
That's how you and I met, and that was in Dallas, Texas.
I was in Dallas, wasn't it?
Plano, Texas.
So you've been following this teaching now very seriously. I would say Chris is the only person who asked me for recommendations. I told him three: Pamela Wilson, Francis Lucille, and maybe Gangaji or Adyashanti.
Yep.
And within 2 months, you'd seen all of them.
I went to see all of them. I went to every single person you recommended that I should see. No doubt. I had no idea who these people were. It was funny because back then, this experience, I'll just call this experience, call it an experience, happened in 2006, and there was no interest in spirituality up until that time. Frankly, I was a pretty unpleasant, entrepreneurial, aggressive, outward. I didn't like New Age stuff. I was very cynical, very sarcastic, aggressive, rajasic. I had no interest in this at all until that event, and that event so shook me up. Well, it completely destabilized me, because I came out of it and I didn't know who I was anymore. I had no idea who I was. And it collapsed my career, it collapsed my marriage, it collapsed everything. And the only thing that was important from that moment forward was trying to find out what this experience was all about, and who I was and what was actually happening, because it was very clear that I'd lived 50-some years of my life operating under some assumptions that weren't true.
So what have you found out? that you didn't know?
Well, I don't know that this journey is over, and I don't know that it's ever over. That's one of the great beauties about it, is that it's always going on. It's always been going on. It is going on. It always will be going on. It's sort of fascinating. Sort of an infinite number of possibilities appearing and arranging and rearranging themselves at any given moment. But some of the things, I think I had to go backwards before I could go forwards. And first was gaining some confidence. The first thing maybe you could say I learned, if you want to say that. I'm going to have some problems with pronouns and stuff like that in this conversation. But as long as I'm Chris Hebard apparently having a conversation with Jordan Schaefer, another person, we're going to be using all that kind of stuff. But the first thing I think is I had to step back and I found some confidence that what I had experienced, I wasn't the only person who had experienced. And that gave me some hope and sort of triggered my curiosity. And then from there, I met a series of people who helped me sort through understanding what that experience was. So an experience can come and go, but the knowledge, and this is what James Schwartz used to tell you and I.
So James Schwartz was one of the first people you really honed in on, is that right?
James Schwartz has written a very good book with a controversial title called How to Attain Enlightenment. He's a traditional Advaita Vedanta teacher. He was Sri Chinmaya's personal assistant for years, carried his oxygen tank with him throughout the world. Chinmaya was worshipped in India. Brilliant man, just a brilliant man. In any case, I was lucky in that Jim spent a lot of time teaching me personally traditional Vedanta, and I got to do some filming work with him. But I mean, the whole idea of subject-object analysis, that's the best way to say it in the Western culture, subject-object analysis. Who am I? Who are you? Are there actually two things here? Was really the whole process of learning. Drishti is what you would say in India. It's the process of investigating the nature of who I am when I say I am this or I am that, and what is the nature of the objective world, or the phenomenological world, or the world of things, of thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and sensory perception. Are they separate from me? And that's what this journey has been about, is about learning, are these things actually separate from me? Where am I? Who am I? What am I? What can science tell me about that? What can Western philosophy tell me about that? What can Judaism tell me about that? What can the Kabbalah tell me about that? What can Sufism tell me about that? What can Buddhism tell me about that? And as I went out trying to find that information, all I could find on the internet was stuff about pet psychics and, New Age mumbo jumbo mixed in with a little bit of common sense and some spiritual wisdom. And as I found stuff, I started collecting it and putting it onto a website for myself, trying to sort this out for myself. And that website became known as Stillness Peace.